In the top stories, Prime Minister Harris addresses third-term rumors. Ghanaian med students may complete degrees in Grenada, and South African fruit producers worry about exports due to Ukraine war. Hello and welcome to the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Today's Thursday, the 17th of March 2022. I'm Jason Davis. Nationally, Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris has addressed rumors in the public arena that he may be planning to run for a third term. When the Team Unity Coalition was formed 7 years ago, it was agreed that the person serving as Prime Minister would serve 2 terms. However, since then, there has been much commentary on social media that the Prime Minister may be planning for a third term. During the People's Labour Party press conference on a Wednesday evening, Prime Minister Harris said he has never spoken publicly about a possible third term.
And my view on that had been made abundantly clear time and time again. Time and time again. And I've never said anything contrary to what the statements I've made publicly. So there's no need for a conversation about third term. I have never spoken on a third term. There's no record anywhere about Timothy Harris speaking on a third term.
He said he found the discussion on this topic unnecessary at this time, as the primary focus of everyone should be the future of the country.
We have just come out of an election. We are still working our way through the pandemic, and every person involved in decision-making ought to be focused on one thing at this point in time: the future of our people, keeping them safe, keeping them strong, putting the country back to work again.
Leader of the People's Labour Party, Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris. A 30-member delegation headed by Minister of Youth, the Honorable John L. Powell, left St. Kitts and Nevis on Monday to participate in Expo 2020 being held in Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. The delegation includes the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Youth, Sport and Culture, Valencia Sider, the 15 winners of the Youth Empowerment Department's essay competition, 4 students, and Principal Miguel Thomas of the Virchilds High School, chaperones, and other officials. While in Dubai, the delegation will be kept busy with activities that will immerse them in the history and culture of the UAE. They'll also be exposed to experiences that showcase dishes, entertainment, technology, arts and culture, and much more from the 192 countries at the Country Pavilion section at the Expo. The delegation returns to St. Kitts and Nevis on Tuesday, March 22. The National Gender Equality Policy and Action Plan 2022-2027 will be fully operationalized in the coming weeks when it's laid in the Federal Parliament of St. Kitts and Nevis. The policy guides the day-to-day operations of the Department of Gender Affairs as it works to empower men, women, boys, and girls to achieve their full potential and fully participate in all areas of development in society. It also outlines the roles and responsibilities of civil society in promoting and maintaining gender equality. On the March 15 edition of Leadership Matters, Minister responsible for gender affairs, the Honorable Eugene Hamilton, said the policy went through a thorough ministerial review. He added that the quote-unquote important document is vital as it upholds the concept of fairness for all. Minister Hamilton noted that the National Gender Equality Policy and Action Plan 2022-2027 is likely to be launched publicly to raise awareness of the new federal initiative. We now move to news on the regional scene. Ghanaian medical students who were forced to leave Ukraine because of the tensions there may be able to complete degrees in Grenada, but discussions are ongoing between the St. George's University and the Ghanaian Scholarship Board. A news report circulated prematurely and is being discredited. More in this report.
A report which began circulating last week stated that Ghanaians studying medicine in Ukraine, whose education had been truncated due to the disturbances in that country, could now continue their studies in Grenada. The report further stated that the government secured an agreement with the Caribbean island for 200 Ghanaian medical students who had to flee Ukraine to continue and complete their education at St. George's University School of Medicine. However, a later copy of a signed memorandum of understanding between the Ghana Scholarship Secretariat and St. George's University stated otherwise, that discussions are still ongoing between the Ghana Scholarship Secretariat and St. George's University. The latter report said, and I quote, "We have now entered into talks with St. George's University to consider how best to enable these students to continue their studies and ensure they are able to complete their degrees. St. George's University has confirmed it will welcome all qualified students to apply for enrollment into the upcoming intakes and will work with the Scholarship Secretariat in these difficult times to this end." End of quote. According to the MOU, there are many Ghanaian students studying medicine in Ukrainian medical schools, 57 of whom are sponsored by the Ghana Scholarship Secretariat. The Ghana Scholarship Secretariat and St. George's University said a joint statement will be issued once the scope of cooperation has been finalized. Joseph Kador, GBN News.
Still on the regional scene, President of the St. Lucia Medical and Dental Association, Dr. Merle Clark, believes that the decrease in COVID-19 cases will allow medical practitioners more time to concentrate on other diseases prevalent in St. Lucia. Meanwhile, primary healthcare facilities on the island are already repositioning themselves to tackle other diseases. Here's more.
Globally, the World Health Organization has been expressing concern about the lack of attention given to other diseases that continue to claim millions of lives each year. St. Lucia continues to record high levels of non-communicable diseases such as child obesity, cancer, as well as diabetes and hypertension. President of the St. Lucia Medical and Dental Association, Dr. Merle Clark, believes the recent decline in COVID-19 cases will afford healthcare specialists the opportunity to pay more attention to patients who are suffering with such medical conditions.
It is certainly good news. It takes some of the stress, some of the strain off healthcare providers. Some of our Cuban colleagues who have been with us really from the start will get an opportunity to see their families. Some of our members, of course, will get an opportunity to get those long delayed vacations. So that is important because burnout and the impact on mental health has been a key factor during this pandemic. It is a very isolating disease, not only for healthcare providers, but also for patients. So again, just to reiterate, we're in a good place, relatively good place right now as it pertains to COVID-19. As we would have seen, vaccination is now predominantly the mass vaccination sites have been closed, and you'll contact your nearest wellness center in terms of information on vaccination.
Primary healthcare facilities are now being repositioned to tackle non-communicable diseases.
The services at the Leclerc Health Center have been fully reinstated, and of course the primary healthcare services, most centers are reverting to what we were pre-COVID because we must learn to live with it. We have to tackle the chronic non-communicable diseases to a certain extent. They have suffered during this pandemic.
She called for more educational programs to enable the public to deal effectively with non-communicable diseases. For the DBS News World, I'm Don Nicholas.
Internationally, South Africa's fruit producers are worried about the situation in Eastern Europe. Some of the exports to the region are currently stuck at sea. The Russia-Ukraine conflict means that these fruit exports might not be delivered on time and payments won't be made. South Africa is the largest exporter of fresh fruit in the Southern Hemisphere. CGTN's Sumitra Nidhu tells us more.
South Africa is also the world's second largest citrus exporter. The industry exports approximately 5.5 million cartons of fruit to Russia alone. Pear exports in particular have risen dramatically in recent years.
Russia-Ukraine war has a direct impact on us. Last year we exported 21% of our pear exports went to Russia last year. So it is a significant part of our exports on pear specifically, as well as the fruit industry in general.
This is a double whammy for the industry. COVID caused major disruptions and global supply constraints. This led to increases in production input costs and logistic costs.
From the onset of COVID and lockdowns and global shipping that has been disrupted completely for all supplying countries, and shipping costs, logistical costs also skyrocketing the last year or so.
Thousands of pears, apples and plums are currently on ships bound for Russia, but exporters are unsure whether the fruit will reach the country or be diverted to other European countries. Whether the fruit will still be in a good condition is also a concern.
It is a bad situation, and it was very sudden, without any warning, and even including the shipping lines and everything. The worst situation, I think, since I've been in the industry for 10 years.
Specifically, the Rotterdam port is also totally congested. Essential products, which include fruit and foodstuffs, are still allowed to be exported to Russia, but all of those containers have to be thoroughly inspected and scanned before it can be transshipped via feeder vessels from Rotterdam to Russia. So that is causing a bottleneck, and the fruit that is originally destined for Europe is now also getting stuck outside of the port, causing further delays to get to the market and having a detrimental impact on quality.
Most international banks have stopped services in Russia. SWIFT, the system that allows for international payments, has also been stopped in Russia. Fruit exporters are stuck at every turn. Even if the fruit reaches Eastern Europe, South African producers may not get paid. Sumitra Naidu, CGTN, Johannesburg, South Africa.
And finally, on the international scene, we believe such rhetoric to be unacceptable and unforgivable. That's according to a spokesman for the Kremlin after U.S. President Joe Biden labeled him a war criminal. France 24 reports.
U.S. President Joe Biden has labelled Russian leader Vladimir Putin a war criminal, in a move likely to escalate diplomatic tensions even further. It's the first time he has used such language to condemn Putin. The remark, an off-the-cuff response to a reporter's question at the White House.
I think he is a war criminal.
The White House later said Biden was speaking from his heart. However, the Kremlin has called it unforgivable rhetoric. The US president had earlier signed off an $800 million security aid package, bringing the US's total contribution to more than $1 billion. It's a key element in helping Ukraine get a long-range air defense system and access to drones. But its President Volodymyr Zelensky says it's still not enough.
To establish a no-fly zone over Ukraine in order to save people, is it too much to ask? Humanitarian no-fly zone is a condition under which Russia will no longer be able to terrorize our peaceful cities every day and night.
In Moscow, President Vladimir Putin delivered a stark warning to so-called Russian traitors.
The collective West is trying to split our society, speculating on military losses, on socio-economic consequences of sanctions, to provoke a civil confrontation in Russia, and using its fifth column, strives to achieve its goal, and the goal is one, the destruction of Russia.
Russian experts say the message was chilling, fearing it could lead to a new round of repression against those who don't agree with the regime.
And now for the weather. Current conditions are cloudy skies with slight dust haze. The temperature for today is 28 degrees Celsius or 83 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds are a moderate breeze of 16 miles per hour from an easterly direction. Seas are moderate to rough with waves of 6 to 9 feet with swells of 6 feet. Therefore, small craft and high surf advisories are in effect. The weather forecast for St. Kitts and Nevis today will be partly cloudy to cloudy with a 60% or a moderate chance of showers. Tonight's forecast will be partly cloudy with a 40% or moderate chance of showers. Sunset today will be at 6:21 p.m., sunrise tomorrow at 6:16 a.m. And that brings us to the end of the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Join us this evening for these stories and more in detail. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Jason Davis.